His hand stopped mid-air, hovering over her trembling shoulder like she was made of glass that might shatter. Amara watched Kang Ji-hoon's face drain of color, his jaw clenching so hard she could hear his teeth grind. "What did you just say?" His voice came out raw, dangerous. "I said I'm not—" Her breath hitched. "I've never been with anyone before you." Ji-hoon stepped back like she'd burned him. His fingers curled into fists. "You're lying. I'm not— Don't." The word cracked through the penthouse suite. "Don't fucking lie to me, Amara. I had you investigated. 3 months ago. Seoul. Park Hyun-woo." Her stomach dropped. "What? No, that's not— I saw the photos." His voice went deadly quiet. "You, him, the hotel, I saw everything." He turned away from her, shoulders rigid. "I spent 3 weeks planning how I'd destroy every man who ever touched you. 3 weeks imagining their blood on my hands. And now you stand here, on our wedding night, and tell me you're a virgin." Everything went silent. The city lights of Seoul blurred through her tears. "That was my brother," she whispered. "Hyun-woo is my adopted brother. He was in Seoul for business. I was visiting him because—" Her voice broke. "Because I was scared. Scared of marrying a man I'd never met. A Mafia boss 20 years older than me who my father sold me to for a business deal." Ji-hoon went completely still. "You investigated me," Amara continued, her voice shaking with anger now. "But you didn't investigate thoroughly enough. You saw what you wanted to see. An excuse to hate me before you even met me." He turned slowly, and for the first time since she'd known him, Kang Ji-hoon looked lost. "Get out," she said. "Get out of this room. I don't care that we just got married. I don't care that you're the most powerful man in Seoul. Get out." The door slammed. Amara collapsed onto the silk sheets, her white wedding dress pooling around her like a broken promise, and cried until she couldn't breathe. 3 months earlier, Nairobi, Kenya. Amara Okonkwo was dancing when her world ended. The bass thundered through Ember Lounge, her favorite club in Westlands. Her best friend Zara was spinning under the lights, laughing, alive. For a few hours, Amara could forget that her father was drowning in debt, that her family's import business was collapsing, that she'd dropped out of university to help pay bills. "Girl, that man has been staring at you for 20 minutes, Zara shouted over the music, nodding toward the VIP section. Amara followed her gaze. A man sat alone in the elevated booth, surrounded by security but separate from them. He wore an expensive black suit that probably cost more than her father's car. Even from across the club, she could feel the weight of his attention. He was older, much older, with silver threading through his dark hair. His face was all sharp angles and controlled power. Their eyes met. Amara's breath caught. "Don't even think about it," Zara warned. "That man screams danger." But Amara was already moving. She didn't know why. Maybe it was the way he looked at her, not like she was a piece of meat, but like she was a mystery he needed to solve. Maybe it was the recklessness that came from having nothing left to lose. She climbed the stairs to VIP. His security moved to block her, but the man raised one hand. They stepped aside immediately. "You're very bold," he said in perfect English, though his accent was distinctly Korean. "Most women wait to be invited." "I'm not most women." Amara lifted her chin. "And you were staring." A ghost of a smile touched his lips. "I was. You move like you're fighting something, or running from it." The observation was too accurate, too sharp. "What makes you think I'm running?" "Because I recognize it." He gestured to the seat across from him. "I'm Ji-hoon, Kang Ji-hoon." Amara Okonkwo. She sat, heart hammering. "What brings a Korean businessman to Nairobi?" "Who said I'm a businessman?" "Aren't you?" "Among other things." His dark eyes studied her. "What brings a beautiful woman to a club alone on a Tuesday night?" "I'm not alone. My friend—" "You're alone," he interrupted softly. "Even when you're surrounded by people. I can see it." Amara's throat tightened. This stranger, this dangerous man, saw her in a way no one else did. Maybe I like being alone. No one likes being alone. We just learn to survive it. They talked until the club closed, about everything and nothing. He told her about soul, about growing up in a world where trust was currency and betrayal was common. She told him about her family, about the pressure of being the oldest daughter, about dreams she'd given up. He didn't touch her, didn't make a single inappropriate move. But the connection between them felt electric, dangerous, inevitable. When the lights came up, Ji-hoon stood. "I'm in Nairobi for 2 more days. Have dinner with me tomorrow." "I don't even know you." "Then get to know me." He handed her a card with just a phone number. "Tomorrow, 8 o'clock. I'll send a car." He left before she could respond, his security forming a wall around him as he disappeared into the night. Zara appeared at her elbow, eyes wide. "Girl, what the fuck just happened? Who was that?" "I have no idea," Amara whispered, staring at the card in her hand. But she knew she'd be in that car at 8 o'clock. She knew it the way you know a storm is coming, inevitable, destructive, impossible to stop. The next evening, a black Mercedes pulled up to her family's modest apartment complex. The driver opened the door without a word. Amara had changed outfits 7 times, finally settling on a simple blue dress that Zara insisted made her look like a queen. The car took her to Talisman, one of the most exclusive restaurants in Nairobi. Ji-hoon was waiting at a private table on the terrace. The city lights spread out beneath them. "You came," he said, standing as she approached. "You doubted I would?" "Hope isn't the same as certainty." He pulled out her chair. "Thank you for taking a chance on a stranger." Dinner was perfect. Too perfect. He asked questions that made her think, challenged her opinions, listened like every word mattered. When she laughed, his whole face softened. When she talked about her father's business troubles, his expression went carefully neutral. "Tell me something real," Amara said over dessert. "Something you don't tell most people." Ji-hoon was quiet for a long moment. "I'm 50 years old and I've never been in love. Not once. I've had arrangements, transactions, temporary distractions, but never love." "Why not?" "Because love requires trust, and trust is a weakness in my world." He leaned forward. "Until tonight, I thought I was fine with that." Amara's heart stuttered. "Ji-hoon." "I leave for Seoul tomorrow," he interrupted, "but I'll be back. If you'll let me." "I don't understand what's happening here." "Neither do I." His hand covered hers on the table. "But I want to find out." He came back, 3 weeks later, then a month after that. Each visit lasting a few days, packed with dinners and conversations and slow, careful exploration of whatever was building between them. He still hadn't kissed her, hadn't pushed for anything physical, but the tension was there, simmering, growing stronger each time. On his 4th visit, everything changed. They were walking through Karura Forest, dappled sunlight filtering through the trees, when Ji-hoon's phone rang. He glanced at it, and his expression went cold, hard. He answered in rapid Korean, his voice cutting and authoritative. When he hung up, Amara touched his arm. "Is everything okay? I need to return to Seoul. Today." "What happened?" He looked at her for a long moment, jaw working. "I haven't been entirely honest with you, Amara. About what I do, about who I am." Her stomach twisted. "Tell me." "I'm not just a businessman. My family, we control certain operations in Seoul, operations that exist outside the law. I'm what you might call a mafia boss, though that term is too American, too simplistic." The forest seemed to go quiet around them. "You're—" Amara couldn't finish the sentence. "Dangerous. Yes." He didn't look away. "I should have told you from the beginning, but I was selfish. For the first time in my life, I wanted something pure, something that wasn't tainted by my world." "So you lied?" "Yes." Amara stepped back, mind racing. She should run, should never see him again. But when she looked at Ji-hoon, she saw the same loneliness she felt, the same desperate need for connection. I need time, she said finally. To think. I understand. He pulled out a card, different from the first. This is my private number. When you decide, call me. Whatever you decide. He left. Amara stood in the forest, holding a Mafia boss's phone number, and wondered if she'd just dodged a bullet or let salvation walk away. 2 weeks later, her father sat her down in their small living room. Amara, I need to talk to you about something important. Her mother stood behind him, eyes red from crying. Amara's younger siblings had been sent to their aunt's house. Every instinct screamed danger. What's wrong, Papa? He couldn't meet her eyes. Our debt. It's worse than I told you. Much worse. The men I borrowed from, they're not patient people. How much? 2 million shillings. His voice broke. I don't have it. The business is failing. They've threatened to take the house, to hurt you and your siblings. Amara's world tilted. 2 million shillings, nearly $20,000 USD. It might as well be $1 billion. What are we going to do? Her father finally looked up, and Amara saw something in his eyes that terrified her. Resignation. Surrender. There's a way. A man came to see me yesterday, a businessman. He has connections in Seoul. He's offered to pay everything, the debt, money for your siblings' education, everything, in exchange for what, Papa? You. The word came out as a whisper. He wants to marry you, take you to Seoul as his wife. He saw you, somehow, has been watching. He's older but wealthy, powerful. He promises you'll be treated well. Everything inside Amara went numb. You're selling me. No! Her mother rushed forward. Baby, no, it's not like that. It's a marriage arrangement. Many families do this. He's willing to give you a good life. I'm not a cow to be traded. Amara stood, shaking. I'm your daughter. How could you? We have no choice. Her father's voice rose. They'll kill us, Amara, all of us. I've exhausted every option. This is the only way. Amara felt tears streaming down her face. Who is he? This man who wants to buy a wife? Her father pulled out a photograph. Amara's heart stopped. It was Ji-hoon, King Ji-hoon, who had pursued her for months with kindness and patience, who had made her feel seen, who had just revealed he was a criminal. He said you'd already met, her father continued, that he's been courting you properly, but that time has run out. There's some business complication. He needs a wife quickly, and he's chosen you. The betrayal hit like a physical blow. Everything, all of it, had been a game, a setup. He'd probably been behind her father's debt in the first place, created the crisis so he could swoop in as the solution. When? The words scraped out of her throat. The wedding is in 2 weeks, in Seoul. Amara wanted to scream, to break something, but instead she went to her room, pulled out Ji-hoon's card, and made the call. He answered on the first ring. Amara, you bastard. Her voice shook with rage. You manipulative, cruel bastard. A pause. You know. My father told me everything. How much did you pay him? How long have you been planning this? It's not what you think. Don't. Don't you dare lie to me anymore. You orchestrated all of this. The debt, the timing, everything. Yes. His voice was quiet. Yes, I did. The admission somehow made it worse. Why? If you wanted me, why not just ask? Why this sick game? Because you would have said no. There was no apology in his tone. I'm 50 years old, Amara. I'm a criminal. I live in a world of violence and betrayal. You're young, beautiful, full of light. You deserved better than me, but I'm a selfish man, and I wanted you anyway. So you bought me. I created a situation where you'd choose me, where your family would be safe, where you'd have a reason to say yes. Amara laughed bitterly. That's not choice, that's coercion. I know, and I'll spend the rest of my life making it up to you. I promise you'll want for nothing. You'll be protected, cherished, but not loved, Because you said it yourself. You've never been in love." The silence stretched out. "Do I have a choice?" Amara asked finally. "In any of this?" "There's always a choice, but yes, your family's debt is real. The danger is real, and I am the solution. I hate you. I can live with that, as long as you're mine." The call ended. Amara threw her phone across the room and cried until she couldn't breathe. Soul, the wedding day. Amara stood in a bride suite at the Shilla Hotel, wearing a traditional white wedding gown that cost more than her family's annual income. The dress was beautiful. The prison was beautiful, too. Zara had flown in, paid for by Ji-hoon. She stood behind Amara, fixing her veil, unusually quiet. "You can still run," Zara said softly. "I have your passport. We can be on a plane in 3 hours." "And then what? My family dies? My siblings lose their chance at education? So you sacrifice yourself? I survive." Amara met her own eyes in the mirror. "I've been surviving my whole life. This is just another form of it." The ceremony was small. Ji-hoon's associates filled half the room, dangerous-looking men in expensive suits. Her family wasn't there. They couldn't afford the trip despite Ji-hoon's offer to pay, or maybe they were too ashamed to watch. Ji-hoon waited at the altar in a black tuxedo, looking like a prince from a dark fairy tale. When Amara walked down the aisle, his expression remained carefully neutral. No smile, no warmth, just possession. The vows were in Korean and English. Amara spoke her part like a robot. When Ji-hoon slipped the ring on her finger, a massive diamond that felt like a shackle, she didn't react. "You may kiss the bride." Ji-hoon leaned in. For a moment his facade cracked, and she saw something like regret in his eyes. But then his lips touched hers, and it was over. She was his. The reception was a blur. People congratulated them. Ji-hoon introduced her as "my wife" with subtle pride. Amara smiled and nodded and died a little more inside. Finally, they were alone in the penthouse suite of the hotel. The bedroom was vast, dominated by a king-sized bed covered in red rose petals. Romantic. Except there was no romance here. Just transaction. Ji-hoon closed the door, locked it, turned to face her. "We should talk," he said. "About what? You own me now. Isn't that what you wanted?" "I never wanted to own you. I wanted—" He stopped. "This isn't how I planned tonight would go. Nothing in my life has gone according to plan since I met you." He moved closer. Amara held her ground even though her heart was racing. When he reached for the zipper of her dress, she grabbed his wrist. "Don't. We're married, Amara. I know what we are. I know what you expect. But before you touch me, before you take what you paid for, I need you to know something." His jaw tightened. "What?" "I'm a virgin." That's when it happened. His hand stopping mid-air, the color draining from his face, the whole terrible confrontation that led to him leaving and her collapsing in tears on a bed of rose petals that felt like thorns. Amara woke at dawn, still in her wedding dress, makeup smeared across silk pillowcases. Her head pounded, her eyes felt swollen. The space next to her in bed was empty. For a moment she let herself imagine he'd left completely, annulled the marriage, let her go. Then she heard movement from the living area. She found Ji-hoon on the balcony, smoking a cigarette. He was still in his tuxedo pants and white shirt, untucked and wrinkled. He didn't turn when she slid the door open. "I don't smoke," he said quietly. "Haven't in 15 years. But last night I needed one." Amara leaned against the doorframe, exhausted. "What do you want from me, Ji-hoon?" "The truth." He finally looked at her. His eyes were red-rimmed. "Tell me about your brother." So she did. She told him about Yun-woo, adopted by her family when she was 12. Her father had sponsored his immigration from South Korea, helped him build a life. He'd become part of their family, a real brother. When he'd moved back to Seoul for work, she'd visited him 3 months ago, terrified about the arranged marriage her father had mentioned. The hotel photos were from when I stayed at his apartment building," Amara finished. "We were never in the same room. I was 5 floors above him, but I met him in the lobby because I was crying, and he took me to a cafe to talk." Ji-hoon's hand trembled as he took another drag. "I had you investigated by the best. They showed me photos, told me you were with a man. I assumed—" "You assumed I was lying, that I was promiscuous, that I needed to be punished." Amara's voice hardened. "You were looking for a reason to keep me at arm's length, to justify treating me like property instead of a person." "Yes." The admission came out raw. "Why?" He crushed the cigarette under his shoe. "Because I was falling in love with you and I didn't know how to handle it. Because I'm 50 fucking years old and I've never felt this way about anyone. Because every moment with you in Nairobi, I was terrified you'd see the monster I really am and run." Amara's breath caught. "So when my investigator brought me those photos, I convinced myself it was easier. That if you were just another woman with a past, I could control what I felt. I could keep you at a distance, use you for the alliance I needed with African trade routes and not—" His voice broke. "Not love you like I was already starting to. So you created a reason to hate me." "Yes." The silence stretched out. Below them, Seoul was waking up. Millions of people starting their day, unaware of the 2 people on this balcony whose worlds had shattered. "I don't know how to do this," Amara said finally. "I don't know how to be married to you, how to live in this world." "I don't either." Ji-hoon turned to face her fully. "I've never been married, never wanted to be. But now that you're here, now that you're mine—" He caught himself. "Now that we're bound together, I don't want to fuck this up more than I already have. Then tell me the truth, about everything. No more games." He nodded slowly. "Ask me anything." "Did you cause my father's debt?" "No, but when I learned about it, I didn't help him. I let it get worse. I used it." The honesty hurt worse than a lie would have. "Why do you need a wife?" "Legitimacy. My organization is transitioning to legal operations. The old bosses don't trust me. They think I'm too westernized. Having a wife, especially one from a respectable family, helps my position. And—" He hesitated. "There's a rival faction. They've threatened to go after anyone I care about. I thought if I married you quickly, brought you here, I could protect you. Protect me from dangers that exist because of you." "Yes." Amara laughed bitterly. "This is insane. All of it." "I know. I should hate you. You should. But I don't. Not completely. And that makes me hate myself." Ji-hoon stepped closer, carefully, like approaching a wounded animal. "Then let's start over. Not from the beginning. We can't erase what happened. But from here. From this moment." "How?" "Tell me what you need. To feel safe. To feel like this isn't a prison." Amara considered. "Space. My own room. Time to adjust to this city, this life without pressure. Done. I want to finish my degree, online if necessary. I'll arrange it. And I want the truth, always, even when it's ugly. You have my word." It wasn't forgiveness. It wasn't even acceptance. But it was a start. 2 weeks later, Amara was drowning in silk and misery. The penthouse Ji-hoon had moved them to was obscene in its luxury. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Gangnam, marble floors, art that probably cost more than her family's house. And everywhere, staff who bowed and avoided eye contact. He'd kept his promises. She had her own bedroom, a massive suite with a bathroom bigger than her old apartment. He'd enrolled her in online courses through Seoul National University. He barely touched her, maintaining a careful distance that felt both respectful and lonely. But she was still a prisoner, just in a gilded cage. Zara video called every day, lifeline to her old world. "Girl, you look miserable," Zara said, her face pixelated on the laptop screen. "I'm fine." "Liar, where's your husband?" "Working, he's always working." "Have you two—" you know? No. Amara pulled her knees to her chest. We've barely spoken since the wedding. He leaves before I wake up, comes home after I'm asleep. It's like living with a ghost. Maybe that's better than the alternative. Maybe. But Amara wasn't sure anymore. The distance was suffocating. She was married but alone, wanted but ignored. That night, she waited up. When Ji-hoon came home at midnight, she was sitting in the living room, lights on. He stopped in the doorway, surprise flickering across his face. "You should be sleeping." "We should be talking." Amara stood. "We're married. We live together. But we're strangers." "I thought that's what you wanted. Space." "Space, yes. Not total isolation." She moved closer. "Tell me about your day, what you do, who you are when you're not here." Ji-hoon looked exhausted. Shadows under his eyes, tension in his shoulders. For the first time, Amara saw him as more than a captor. He was a man carrying enormous weight. "You don't want to know about my days," he said quietly. "Try me." So he did. He told her about the legitimate businesses, tech companies, real estate, investments, and the not-so-legitimate ones, protection rackets being phased out, gambling operations, information brokering. He explained the politics of his organization, the constant chess game of alliances and threats. "It's boring," he finished, "and dangerous, and nothing you should be part of." "But I am part of it. I'm your wife. That makes me a target, doesn't it?" His expression darkened. "Yes. Then I need to understand the game, how to protect myself." Something shifted in Ji-hoon's face. Respect, maybe. "You're smarter than I gave you credit for." "You keep underestimating me. It's going to bite you in the ass one day." A real smile touched his lips, the first she'd seen since Nairobi. "I'm counting on it." They talked until 2 a.m. It wasn't romantic, wasn't even particularly friendly, but it was real. Progress. 3 days later, everything went to hell. Amara was walking through Gangnam, finally getting the courage to explore the neighborhood, when a black van pulled up beside her. 4 men jumped out. She tried to run, but hands grabbed her, dragging her toward the vehicle. "Let go!" she screamed, fighting, kicking. "Help!" Pedestrians looked, but didn't interfere. The men were too organized, too quick. One of them had a cloth, chemical-soaked, moving toward her face. A gunshot cracked through the air. The man dropped. Another shot, another body. The remaining men released her, scrambling for cover. Ji-hoon appeared like vengeance incarnated. He moved with lethal efficiency, gun in hand, his suit jacket flaring. 2 more shots, 2 more men down. The last one ran. Ji-hoon let him go, holstering his weapon and rushing to Amara. "Are you hurt?" His hands ran over her, checking for injuries. "Did they touch you? Did they hurt you?" "I'm okay. Amara couldn't finish. The adrenaline crashed, and she collapsed against him, shaking. Ji-hoon caught her, lifting her into his arms like she weighed nothing. His men materialized from nowhere, securing the scene. He carried her to his car, barking orders in Korean, his face a mask of cold fury. In the back seat, he held her, one arm locked around her shoulders. "I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. This is my fault." Who were they? Rival faction, the one I told you about. They wanted leverage. His voice shook with barely controlled rage. "They touched you, tried to take you. I'll burn their entire operation to the ground." Amara pulled back to look at him. His eyes were wild, desperate. This wasn't the controlled man she'd married. This was something raw and dangerous. "You killed them," she whispered. "I'd kill 1,000 more to keep you safe." The intensity should have terrified her. Instead, something inside Amara shifted. He'd come for her, not sent men, come himself, killed for her, nearly lost control for her. "Take me home," she said softly. He did. Back at the penthouse, Ji-hoon's men swept the apartment, increasing security. He disappeared into his office, making calls in harsh Korean. Amara heard words like retaliation and message. She should have been traumatized. Instead, she felt alive, seen. For the first time since arriving in Seoul, she mattered, not as property, as someone worth protecting. When Ji-hoon finally emerged, it was 3 a.m. He found her in the kitchen, making tea with shaking hands. "You should rest," he said. "So should you." "I can't. Not until I know you're safe. I'm doubling your security. You'll have bodyguards everywhere." "Ji-hoon," Amara set down her mug. "Today, you saved my life. Today, I almost got you killed. No, your world is dangerous. I knew that when I married you. But you came for me. You didn't hesitate." "Of course I didn't hesitate. You're my—" He stopped. "You're what?" "Everything." The word came out broken. "You're everything, Amara, and I almost lost you today. If I'd been 5 minutes later, if they'd gotten you in that van—" She crossed to him, drawn by the raw emotion in his voice. "But they didn't. I'm here. I'm safe. Because I got lucky. Next time, then teach me." She grabbed his hands. "Teach me how to protect myself, how to navigate your world. Stop trying to keep me in a bubble. Make me your partner instead of your prisoner." Ji-hoon stared at her. "You terrify me." "Good. You terrify me too. We're even." He laughed, the sound surprised and genuine. Then his expression sobered. "I don't deserve you." "Probably not. But you have me anyway." Something passed between them, a recognition, a shift, the walls they'd both built cracking. Ji-hoon raised her hand to his lips, kissing her knuckles gently. "I'll teach you everything. But you have to promise me something." "What?" "Never go out alone again. Not until this is handled." "Deal." That night, Amara didn't sleep in her separate room, not because he pressured her, but because she didn't want to be alone. She slept in the guest room next to his office, door open, his presence nearby, a comfort instead of a threat. Progress. Slow, complicated, but real. Meanwhile, back in Nairobi, Zara was having her own crisis. She'd met someone at a coffee shop, a ridiculously handsome businessman named Marcus who claimed to be Kenyan British. Tall, charming, with dimples that should be illegal. He'd asked her out. She'd said yes before her brain could catch up. Now she was sitting across from him at Tattoo City, watching him smile and wondering if this was how Amara had felt when Ji-hoon walked into her life. "You're nervous," Marcus observed, amusement in his voice. "I don't date much." "Why not?" "Because I'm picky and busy, and most men are trash." "Fair assessment." He leaned back. "What would make me not trash?" "Honesty, respect, not trying to manipulate me." Something flickered across his face. "That's a specific list. My best friend recently married a Mafia boss who manipulated her into the arrangement. I have trust issues now." "Mafia boss? In Seoul? You know about it?" "I've heard stories." Marcus's expression went carefully neutral. "Kang Ji-hoon, right? He's known in certain circles." Zara's instincts pinged. "How do you know his name?" "Because I work in international security, and Kang is on several watch lists." He held up his hands. "I'm not a cop. I do private security for corporate clients, but I hear things." "Is Amara in danger?" "Honestly, probably. But from what I know about Kang, he's protective of what's his. If he married your friend, he'll move heaven and earth to keep her safe." The conversation shifted to lighter topics, but Zara couldn't shake the feeling that Marcus knew more than he was saying. Still, she agreed to a second date, and a third. By the fourth date, she was pretty sure she was falling for him. "I need to tell you something," Marcus said as they walked through Uhuru Park at sunset. "About why I approached you." Zara's heart sank. "Here it comes." "I wasn't entirely honest. I didn't meet you by accident. I was asked to check on you, make sure you were okay." "By who?" "Ji-hoon. He wanted to make sure Amara's best friend was protected, that the people who might come after him didn't try to use you as leverage." Betrayal hit like a slap. "So this was a job. You were paid to pretend to like me." "No." Marcus grabbed her hands. "Fuck no. Yes, I was hired to watch over you, but everything else, everything between us, that's real. I wasn't supposed to approach you, wasn't supposed to ask you out. I broke every professional rule because I couldn't help myself." Zara pulled away. "I need to think." "Zara, I said I need to think." She left him standing in the park, heart cracking. Another man, another lie. When would she learn? Back in Seoul, 4 weeks after the attack, Amara was learning to fight. Ji-hoon had hired a trainer, a terrifying woman named Min-ji who'd been special forces. Every morning, Amara spent 2 hours learning self-defense, weapon handling, situational awareness. "Your size is a disadvantage," Min-ji said in heavily accented English, "but speed and precision can compensate." Again. Amara ran through the sequence. Block, strike, disable, run. Her muscles screamed. Sweat poured down her back, but she was getting stronger. Ji-hoon watched from the doorway sometimes, arms crossed, expression unreadable. After training, they'd have breakfast together. A new routine. He'd tell her about his day. She'd share what she was learning in her online courses. They still hadn't been intimate, still maintained separate rooms, but the distance was closing. One evening, Ji-hoon came home early. Amara was in the living room, video calling with Zara. "Girl, I can't deal with these men," Zara was saying. "Marcus was hired to watch me. Hired. By your husband." Amara glanced at Ji-hoon, who'd gone very still. "What?" "Yeah, Ji-hoon apparently has people monitoring me to make sure I'm safe, which would be sweet if it wasn't creepy. And now, I don't know if anything Marcus said was real." Ji-hoon stepped into frame. "It was real." Zara's eyes widened. "Oh, great, the puppet master himself." "Marcus was hired for protection," Ji-hoon said calmly. "Not deception. He broke protocol by approaching you. I nearly fired him for it. The feelings are real." "How do you know?" "Because he submitted his resignation rather than follow orders to stay away from you. A man doesn't give up a 6-figure salary for a job." The call ended soon after, Zara promising to think about it. Amara turned to Ji-hoon. "You're having my friends watched. Protected. There's a difference." "Is there? Or are you just controlling everyone around me?" His jaw tightened. "I'm keeping you safe. Both of you. Amara, you don't understand the world I come from. The enemies I have. If they can't get to you directly, they'll go after people you care about." "So everyone in my life becomes a chess piece?" "Everyone in your life becomes a responsibility." He moved closer. "I know you hate it. I know it feels like control, but I can't." His voice roughened. "I can't lose you. I won't." The raw admission hung between them. "Then talk to me about these decisions," Amara said finally. "Don't just make them and expect me to accept it. We're supposed to be partners, remember?" "You're right." He ran a hand through his hair. "I'm not good at this, at sharing power, at trusting anyone." "Then learn. For us." "For us," he repeated quietly. That night, lying in her separate bed, Amara realized something terrifying. She was falling for him, not the idea of him, not the security he provided, but the complicated, damaged man beneath the Mafia boss exterior, the man who killed without hesitation but looked at her like she was something precious, who manipulated her into marriage but was trying, genuinely, to make it work, who'd never been in love but was learning how. God help her. She was falling for Kang Ji-hoon. 6 weeks after the wedding, Amara woke up nauseous. She barely made it to the bathroom before getting sick. When it happened again the next morning, she knew. No, 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 no. She called Min-ji, who connected her with a discreet doctor. The appointment was scheduled for that afternoon at a private clinic. The pregnancy test came back positive. "About 5 weeks," the doctor said in perfect English. "Congratulations." Amara sat in stunned silence. 5 weeks, which meant their wedding night, before the fight, before the revelations. "Does Mr. Kang know?" the doctor asked. Not yet. He'll be pleased. He's been very clear about wanting children eventually. Had he? They'd never discussed it. Another decision made without her input. Amara left the clinic in a daze. Her security detail followed at a discreet distance. 3 men Ji-hoon had assigned permanently. She wandered through Cheonggyecheon Stream, watching families and couples trying to process a baby. She was going to have a baby, with a man she was only beginning to understand, in a world she didn't fully belong to. Her phone rang. Ji-hoon. Where are you? His voice was tight. Your security said you've been at the stream for 2 hours. I'm thinking. About what? Everything. She paused. Can you come home early? We need to talk. You're scaring me. I'm not in danger, just come home. He arrived within 30 minutes, still in his suit, eyes scanning her for injuries or threats. What happened? Amara handed him the ultrasound photo. This happened. Ji-hoon stared at the grainy black and white image. For a long moment, he didn't move, didn't speak, just stared. You're pregnant, he finally said. 5 weeks. Our wedding night. Yes. He looked up, and Amara was shocked to see tears in his eyes. A baby. We're having a baby. I know this complicates things. Complicates? He laughed, the sound breaking. Amara, I never thought. He couldn't finish. Instead, he pulled her into his arms, holding her like she might disappear. Thank you. For what? For giving me something I never knew I wanted. For staying even when I gave you every reason to leave. His voice cracked. For being mine. Amara let herself sink into the embrace, into the warmth and safety of it. I'm terrified. So am I, but we'll figure it out together. That night, things shifted again. Ji-hoon insisted on sleeping in the room next to hers, door open, protective instincts in overdrive. He made calls, increasing security further, brought in specialists to baby-proof the penthouse. And for the first time since the wedding, Amara felt like they might actually make this work. 8 weeks pregnant. The morning sickness was brutal. Amara spent half her days in the bathroom, the other half exhausted on the couch. Ji-hoon hovered like an anxious mother hen, bringing ginger tea and crackers, checking her temperature obsessively. You're being ridiculous, she said, swatting his hand away as he tried to take her pulse for the 3rd time that hour. You're carrying my child. I'm allowed to be ridiculous. I'm pregnant, not dying. Pregnancy can be dangerous. The statistics... Ji-hoon, stop. He sat back, looking sheepish. I'm driving you crazy. Yes, I've never done this before, never cared about someone this much. I don't know how to not be controlling. Amara softened. I know, but you need to trust me. Trust my body. I'll tell you if something's wrong. Promise? Promise. Zara video called later that day, looking happier than Amara had seen her in weeks. So, Zara said, grinning, I talked to Marcus. And we're trying again. He quit his job with Ji-hoon's organization, got a position with a legitimate security firm. We're taking it slow, but I think this might be real. I'm happy for you. How are things with the Mafia king? Complicated. Amara glanced toward Ji-hoon's office. But better, we're pregnant. What? Zara nearly dropped her phone. Girl, when were you going to tell me? I'm telling you now, 8 weeks. How does Ji-hoon feel about it? He's terrified and thrilled and overprotective. It's annoying and sweet, and I kind of love him for it. The words slipped out before Amara could stop them. Love? She loved him. Oh, honey, Zara said softly, you've got it bad. I know. What the hell is wrong with me? He manipulated me into this marriage, controlled my life, and now I'm pregnant with his baby and falling in love with him. Maybe because he's changing, trying, making an effort. Or maybe I have Stockholm Syndrome. Or maybe, Zara countered, people are more complicated than good or bad. Maybe he's both, dangerous and devoted, controlling and caring. And maybe you're allowed to love the whole mess of him. After the call, Amara found Ji-hoon in his office, staring at paperwork without reading it. "Can I ask you something?" she said from the doorway. "Always." "When did you decide you wanted me? Like, the exact moment?" He was quiet for a long time. "That first night, in the club. You walked up those stairs like you owned the world, even though I could see you were scared. You challenged me, made me laugh. And when you talked about your family, about your struggles, there was no self-pity, just strength. I went back to my hotel that night and couldn't stop thinking about you. So you decided to trap me. I decided to have you, however I could. I'm not proud of the methods, but I can't regret the result." Amara moved into the room, sitting on the edge of his desk. "When did it change from possession to love?" "Love?" He looked up sharply. "You said you've never been in love, but Ji-hoon, the way you look at me now, that's not possession." His throat worked. "I don't know when it changed. Maybe it was always love and I just didn't recognize it. Maybe it was the night you told me I was underestimating you, or when you demanded to be my partner instead of my prisoner, or maybe it was just now hearing you say the word love and realizing I'd die for the chance to hear it directed at me." Amara's breath caught. "Ji-hoon, I love you." The words tumbled out rough and desperate. "I love you, and I don't know how to do this right. I'm going to FSYK up constantly, be too controlling, too protective, too everything. But I love you, Amara, so fecking much it terrifies me." She slid off the desk and into his lap, framing his face with her hands. "I love you too, even though you're impossible, even though you bought me like property, even though you drive me insane with your overprotective bullshit." "You shouldn't love me." "Probably not, but I do anyway." He kissed her then. Really kissed her. Not the chaste kiss from their wedding, but something deep and claiming and real. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Ji-hoon pressed his forehead to hers. "I'm going to spend the rest of my life making this up to you," he whispered, "making you happy, proving I'm worth the risk you took." "You already are." That night, Amara didn't sleep in her separate room. She slept in his arms, in his bed, finally home. 12 weeks pregnant. The ultrasound showed a healthy baby, strong heartbeat, perfect development. The doctor smiled, congratulating them again. In the car ride home, Ji-hoon held Amara's hand, thumb tracing circles on her palm. "I need to tell you something," he said quietly. Her stomach tightened. "What?" "The rival faction, the one that tried to take you. I've been working on eliminating the threat." "Eliminating as in I've brokered a truce, given them trade concessions in exchange for leaving you, leaving our family alone. It's done. You're safe now." Relief flooded through her. "Thank you. I also finalized the transition to legal operations. By the time our baby is born, I'll be completely legitimate. No more criminal activities, just business." Amara turned to stare at him. "You're serious?" "I want to be a father our child can be proud of, not a monster they're ashamed of." His voice roughened. "I'm doing this for you, for us. Ji-hoon, you're leaving behind your entire world. You're my entire world now." He lifted her hand to his lips. "You and this baby. Everything else is just noise." That evening, they had dinner with Marcus and Zara, who'd flown in for a visit. The four of them sat around the massive dining table, laughing and sharing stories. "So Marcus quit working for you," Zara said, pointing her fork at Ji-hoon, "which means you can't spy on us anymore." "I have other resources," Ji-hoon replied dryly. "He's joking," Amara interjected. "He promised no more surveillance." "Under duress," Marcus laughed. "Working for you was insane, but it's how I met Zara, so I can't complain too much." "You're welcome," Ji-hoon said. "Don't make me stab you with this fork," Zara threatened. The banter continued, easy and warm. This, Amara thought, was what family felt like. Chosen family, Complicated and imperfect, but real. After dinner, Ji-hoon pulled Marcus aside for a private conversation. Amara watched from the living room, curious. "I need a favor," Ji-hoon said, too quietly for the women to hear. "When the baby comes, I want you to be part of the security detail. I trust you with my life. I need to trust you with theirs." Marcus looked surprised. "I don't work for you anymore." "This isn't work. This is family. You're going to marry Zara. Don't look shocked. It's obvious, which makes you family, and family protects each other." "You're a lot more sentimental than your reputation suggests. Don't tell anyone, it'll ruin my image." They shook hands, and understanding reached. 16 weeks pregnant. Amara was showing now, a small bump that Ji-hoon couldn't stop touching. Reverent and amazed, they learned the sex, a girl, and he'd cried like a baby. "A daughter," he kept saying. "We're having a daughter." "Are you disappointed it's not a boy?" "Are you insane? A little girl. Who'll look like you? I'm the luckiest man alive." They started planning the nursery. Ji-hoon wanted to hire a designer. Amara insisted on doing it themselves. They compromised. She designed it. He funded every extravagant idea she had. One evening, as they painted the walls a soft lavender, Ji-hoon's phone rang. He glanced at it and went still. "What's wrong?" Amara asked. "It's my mother. I haven't spoken to her in 5 years." "Are you going to answer?" He hesitated, then accepted the call, speaking in rapid Korean. The conversation was tense, his posture rigid. When he hung up, he looked shaken. "She wants to meet you and learn about the baby." "That's good, isn't it?" "My mother is complicated. We don't have a good relationship. She didn't approve of me taking over the organization, thought I was too soft, too Western. But she wants to meet me. Because you're pregnant with her grandchild. Family is everything to her." The meeting was arranged for the following week. Ji-hoon was nervous, actually nervous, pacing the penthouse like a caged animal. "She's going to judge you," he warned. "Criticize everything, try to find fault." "Ji-hoon, breathe. I can handle a critical mother-in-law. You don't understand, she's a woman who loves her son and wants to protect him. I get it, I have a mother too." His mother, Kang Soo-jin, arrived in full traditional hanbok, regal and intimidating. She looked Amara up and down with sharp, assessing eyes. "You're very young," she said in English. "I'm 25, and African, Kenyan specifically. My son has always had unusual tastes." It wasn't quite an insult. "How do you plan to raise my grandchild? In what culture?" Amara met her gaze steadily. "In both. She'll know her Korean heritage and her African heritage. She'll be strong, educated, and loved." Something shifted in Soo-jin's expression. Approval, maybe. "You have spine. Good. My son needs someone who won't bend." The visit lasted 2 hours. By the end, Soo-jin was offering advice on pregnancy, sharing stories of raising Ji-hoon, even smiling. As she left, she pulled Ji-hoon aside. "You chose well. Don't fuck this up." "I won't. You better not. I want to be involved in my granddaughter's life." After she left, Ji-hoon pulled Amara into his arms. "You were amazing." "She's not as scary as you made her sound." "Yes, she is. You're just scarier." Amara laughed, the sound free and genuine. 24 weeks pregnant, everything was perfect. Too perfect. Amara should have known something would go wrong. She was at a doctor's appointment, routine checkup, when the pain started. Sharp, sudden, radiating through her abdomen. "Something's wrong," she gasped. The medical team moved fast. Monitors, tests, urgent Korean conversations. Ji-hoon was called. He arrived within minutes, face pale. "What's happening?" he demanded. "Possible placental abruption," the doctor explained. "We need to monitor her closely. If it worsens, we may need to deliver early. She's only 24 weeks. The baby would have a fighting chance, but let's hope it doesn't come to that." They kept her in the hospital overnight. Ji-hoon didn't leave her side. He held her hand, stroked her hair, whispered promises neither of them knew he could keep. "She's going to be okay," he kept saying. "Both of you." "You don't know that." "I'm deciding it. She's my daughter. She's going to be as stubborn as her mother. She'll fight." By morning, the pain had subsided. The tests came back clear. False alarm. But the scare shook them both. In the car ride home, Amara couldn't stop crying. "Hey," Ji-hoon said gently, wiping her tears. "She's okay. You're okay." "But what if next time she's not? What if I lose her? What if—" "Stop." He pulled the car over, turning to face her fully. "We can't live in what if. We can only live in now. And now she's safe. You're safe. That's all that matters." "I'm so scared." "Me too." He kissed her forehead. "But we're scared together. And that makes us strong enough." 32 weeks pregnant. Zara called with news. "Marcus proposed," she screamed. "We're getting married." "Oh my God," Amara laughed, genuinely thrilled. "Tell me everything." Zara described the proposal. Romantic dinner, rose petals, the whole production. "We're doing it in Nairobi next month. You have to come. Be my maid of honor." "Zara, I'll be 8 months pregnant. The doctor said no international travel." "Then we'll video call you in. I'm not getting married without you there somehow." The wedding was beautiful. Amara watched via laptop, tears streaming, as her best friend married the man who'd started as a spy, but became something real. "To new beginnings," Marcus said in his toast, looking directly at the camera, "and to the friends who brought us together, even if it was through completely insane circumstances." Ji-hoon stood behind Amara, hands on her shoulders, watching the ceremony with a small smile. "We should renew our vows," he said quietly. "Do it right, with your family there, after the baby's born." "Really? I want to marry you again. Every day if I could, but once more, properly, would be a start." Amara leaned back against him. "Okay, yes." 38 weeks pregnant. Amara was enormous and miserable and ready for this baby to be out. "I swear to God, if one more person tells me I'm glowing, I'm going to lose it," she complained. Ji-hoon, who'd taken a month off work to be with her, tried not to laugh. "You are glowing." "I'm sweating. There's a difference." Labor started at 2 a.m. Amara woke to contractions and wet sheets. Ji-hoon went into military mode, bag grabbed, car ready, hospital called. By 3 a.m., they were in the delivery room. The labor was long, brutal, 18 hours of pain and exhaustion. Ji-hoon stayed with her the entire time, letting her crush his hand, whispering encouragement. "You're the strongest person I've ever met," he said as another contraction hit. "You can do this. I hate you for doing this to me. I know, hate me all you want, just keep breathing." At 9:47 p.m., their daughter entered the world, tiny, furious, perfect. The doctor placed her on Amara's chest and the room went silent except for the baby's cries. Ji-hoon stared at them, his wife, his daughter, with tears streaming down his face. "She's perfect," he whispered. "You're both perfect." They named her Ji-min, grace and quickness, 3 months later. The penthouse was chaos. Beautiful, exhausting chaos. Ji-min was a terrible sleeper. She wanted to be held constantly. Amara was surviving on 2-hour sleep increments and pure stubbornness. Ji-hoon was surprisingly good with her. He'd wake for night feedings, walk her around the apartment for hours, sing to her in Korean. Watching him, this powerful, dangerous man, melt for a 7-pound baby was the most attractive thing Amara had ever seen. One evening, Amara's entire family video called. Her father, mother, siblings, all crowded around a laptop in Nairobi. "Show us the baby," her mother demanded. Amara angled the camera toward Ji-min, sleeping in Ji-hoon's arms. Her family cooed and argued about who she looked like. "Thank you," her father said quietly, "for everything, for saving us, for making this work." "It's complicated, Papa, but I'm happy, really happy." After the call, Ji-hoon looked at her seriously. I want to bring them here. Your family. Fly them to Seoul for Jimin's 100-day celebration. Let them meet her properly. That's a huge expense. I don't care. They're your family, which makes them my family, and family should be together for important moments. The celebration was huge. Ji-hoon's associates, Amara's family, Zara and Marcus, all gathered to celebrate Jimin. The apartment was filled with flowers and food and laughter. Amara stood on the balcony, watching the party, Jimin in her arms. Ji-hoon joined her, wrapping an arm around her waist. What are you thinking? That 6 months ago, I was miserable, lost, and now I have everything. A daughter, a family, you. She looked up at him. I love you. I know I say it a lot, but I need you to know. I don't regret any of it. Not the manipulation, not the forced marriage, because it brought me here, to this moment. I regret it, Ji-hoon said quietly. I regret every moment I hurt you, every choice I made that wasn't about your happiness, but I'm grateful you forgave me anyway. We're both imperfect, both learning. Then let's keep learning together. They kissed, soft and sweet, as their daughter slept between them and their family celebrated inside. 1 year later, the vow renewal was held in Nairobi at a garden overlooking the city. Amara wore a dress she'd chosen herself, traditional African print mixed with modern design. Ji-hoon wore a suit and a smile that hadn't left his face all day. Their families stood together, Korean and Kenyan, blended and beautiful. Jimin toddled between guests, stealing hearts. Zara stood as maid of honor, Marcus as best man. When it came time for vows, Ji-hoon took both of Amara's hands. 1.5 years ago, I made you promises I didn't know how to keep. I said words I didn't understand. But today, I understand. Today, I promise to love you not because I own you, but because you chose me. To protect you not because you're mine, but because you're everything. To be the man our daughter can be proud of. The husband you deserve. Every day for the rest of our lives. Amara's vows were simpler. I promise to keep challenging you, to never let you get comfortable, to love you through every mistake and every triumph. You're my home, Ji-hoon, and I choose you every day. They kissed as husband and wife, for real this time, by choice, not coercion. At the reception, toasts were made. Zara gave a speech about friendship surviving impossible circumstances. Ji-hoon's mother spoke about the strength of love that crosses cultures. Amara's father, tears in his eyes, thanked Ji-hoon for loving his daughter better than he'd dared hope. As the evening wound down, Ji-hoon pulled Amara onto the dance floor. They swayed together, Jimin asleep on his shoulder. No regrets? He asked softly. Only one, Amara replied. His expression tightened. What? That I didn't punch you that first night. When you accused me of lying, you deserved it. He laughed, the sound rich and free. Next time I'm an idiot, you have full permission. Oh, I'm keeping that promise. They danced under Nairobi stars, surrounded by love they'd fought for, built from manipulation and pain into something real and lasting. And as Amara looked around, at her family, her friends, her daughter, her husband, she realized something profound. Sometimes the worst beginnings lead to the most beautiful endings. Sometimes love isn't gentle or easy or pure. Sometimes it's messy and complicated and born from darkness. But it's real and it's worth it, and she wouldn't change a single moment. Epilogue. 5 years later, Jimin had a baby brother, Taeyang, Sunny, born during a Seoul winter but bringing warmth wherever he went. The family had expanded, both literally and figuratively. Zara and Marcus had twins. Ji-hoon's mother visited monthly. Amara's family came every summer. Ji-hoon's businesses thrived, completely legitimate now. He was respected, powerful, but in clean ways. Amara had finished her degree, started a nonprofit connecting African and Korean entrepreneurs. They fought sometimes, loudly, passionately. Ji-hoon still struggled with control issues. Amara still pushed back hard, but every night they came back to each other, to the love they'd built from ashes and poor choices. One evening, putting the kids to bed, Jimin looked up at her father with serious eyes. "Papa, Mama says you weren't always good. Is that true?" Ji-hoon glanced at Amara, who was trying not to laugh in the doorway. "It's true," he said honestly. "Papa made a lot of mistakes before he met Mama. But you're good now. I try to be, every day because of you and your brother and Mama. You all make me want to be better." "That's good." Jimin yawned. "I love you, Papa." "I love you too, little one, more than anything in the world." After the kids were asleep, Amara and Ji-hoon collapsed on the couch, exhausted. 5 years, she said wonderingly. Sometimes it feels like 5 minutes, sometimes like 5 lifetimes. Any regrets? Still just the one. Still wish I'd punched you. There's time yet. I'm sure I'll deserve it eventually. They laughed, comfortable in their imperfect, complicated, beautiful life. Outside, Seoul glowed in the darkness. Inside, a family born from manipulation and choice, coercion and love, slept peacefully. And that was enough. More than enough.